Welcome back. Today, we're tackling a topic that, let's be honest, every single property owner dreads but absolutely needs to understand: water damage. Whether it's a sudden burst pipe or a massive storm, knowing the science behind the cleanup can take a total disaster and turn it into something you can actually control. So let's dive right in.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the constant threat of water and why time is everything. Then, we'll get into decoding the damage, because trust me, not all water is created equal. After that, we'll walk through the professional playbook, the actual science of how to fix it. And finally, we'll cover navigating the aftermath, dealing with insurance and making sure this doesn't happen again. All right, let's jump into section 1, the constant water threat. The second that unwanted water gets into your home or your business, a clock starts ticking. And I mean every single minute, every second really counts.
Okay, burn this number into your brain: 48 hours. That is the critical window you have before a simple water problem starts to morph into a serious mold problem. After those 2 days, the health risks and, the cost to fix everything, they just start to shoot through the roof. So you're probably wondering, where does all this water even come from? And sure, you might be thinking of some huge, dramatic flood. But a lot of the time, the real enemy is already hiding inside your house. Let's run through the usual suspects here. Yeah, you've got the big, obvious stuff like storm flooding, but look at the rest of this list: burst pipes, your water heater giving out, even a tiny clogged AC line. These things can happen so quietly, dumping gallons and gallons of water before you have any idea what's going on. And those slow, sneaky leaks from foundation cracks, they are a huge, often overlooked problem. And here's why you have to act so fast. Your house is basically a giant sponge. Materials like drywall and wood, they don't just get wet on the surface. They actively suck water up and out, pulling it deeper into the structure. It's called wicking, and it's how a little puddle on the floor can end up ruining an entire wall or worse. Which leads us perfectly into our second section: decoding the damage. And this is so important because where the water came from completely changes how you have to deal with it. Not all water is the same. The pros follow a system that breaks water damage into 3 official categories. You've got Category 1, which is clean water. Think of a broken water supply line. The immediate health risk, pretty low. Then there's Category 2, gray water. This is from something like a washing machine overflowing. It's got detergents and other gunk in it, so it's significantly contaminated. And then you have Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff. We're talking sewage, floodwater from a river. It's a severe health hazard, full of dangerous pathogens. So why does this matter so much? Well, because clean water doesn't stay clean for long. That Category 1 leak, give it about 48 hours, and it's already degraded into a contaminated Category 2 issue because bacteria have had time to grow. If you wait any longer, you could be looking at a Category 3 biohazard, even if the source was totally harmless to begin with. Okay, so that brings us to the actual solution. Section 3, the professional playbook. When you're dealing with water damage, you can't just guess. The entire response is a step-by-step, science-based process, and it is all about one thing: getting back control. The entire restoration industry runs on this one guide, the IICRC S500. And this is not just a pamphlet with some helpful hints. It's a really rigorous scientific rule book that dictates everything, from how to assess the damage to the physics of drawing a building to making sure it's actually safe to live in again. This is what separates a real professional from just a guy with a wet vac. The whole process really breaks down into 3 main phases. First up is the emergency response. You gotta find the source, stop it, and then get all that standing water out as fast as humanly possible with huge pumps and extractors. Phase 2 is all about drying what you can't see. Pros use giant air movers and dehumidifiers and then track the progress with special gear like thermal cameras. It's only after everything is proven to be completely dry that Phase 3 even begins, and that's the cleaning, sanitizing, and finally, the rebuilding. Now, here's a super important point that a lot of people get confused about: the difference between mitigation and restoration. Think of it like this. Mitigation is the emergency first aid. It's stopping the bleeding, getting the water out, and just preventing things from getting any worse. Restoration, that's the surgery that comes after. That's the actual repair work, replacing the drywall, putting in new floors, to get your place back to the way it was before the mess. And that leads us to our final section, navigating the aftermath. Because once all the big noisy equipment is gone, you're left with some really critical questions about your insurance and, more importantly, how to stop this from ever happening again. This is it, right? The million-dollar question every homeowner is thinking. And the answer, as you can probably guess, is
It depends. It totally depends on what caused the water damage in the first place.
So here's the deal. Your standard policy will usually cover sudden and accidental stuff, like a pipe that bursts out of nowhere. What it almost never covers is gradual damage. That slow leak behind the fridge that you kind of ignored for 6 months. And this is so crucial. Damage from natural flooding, like a river overflowing, requires a totally separate flood insurance policy. No matter what happened, though, detailed professional documentation is going to be your absolute best friend when you file that claim.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to this. Knowing how to react is one thing, but it is so much better to just avoid the disaster in the first place.
So, consider this your homework. These are simple, easy things you can do that can literally save you thousands of dollars. Checking those washing machine hoses, knowing exactly where your main water shutoff is, these are small, cheap things with a massive payoff. It's all about switching from a reactive panic mode to a proactive, prepared mindset.
So let's just end on this one thought. The water's gone, the place is repaired, but the real peace of mind comes from asking yourself, okay, what did I do to make sure I'm ready for the next time? Because when it comes to water damage, it's really a question of when, not if. Thanks for watching.